watches the follow-up damage. Perfect shield from Core JJ. That's going to be Kuve burning down. The chase in and Doublelift gets one. He gets two. He's looking for three and Crown will keep his kingdom with TSM with the 3-for-0.
If you know League of Legends, you know this moment. On the edge of a historic victory, a single decision is about to take the wind out of a team's sails at a point where it seemed like nothing could go wrong. More than that, what comes after this moment will have consequences that reach far beyond just a single game and will go on to break an entire region. Let me explain.
Right back around on him, Samsung saving it with the big burst of the mid laner. He must have assumed that...
October 6, 2016. TSM huddle backstage at the Bill Graham Civic Auditorium in San Francisco on the doorstep of history.
They're about to take the stage against Korea's Samsung Galaxy, and though they don't know it yet, they carry the weight of North American League of Legends on their shoulders. But before we can get to the game that changed everything, we've got to zoom out. Everyone knows Worlds 2016 was a special event packed with great storylines. T1 and Rox Tigers would play a legendary semi-final series, a little team called Albus Nox Luna would go on the most unexpected run in Worlds history, and Meteos would masterly sin in just 70 minutes as North America hosted the event for the first time in 3 years. So coming into Worlds on home soil, TSM are feeling on top of the world, but their journey to San Francisco was anything but smooth. As we talked about in our last video, not only did TSM take back the LCS crown after a rocky start to the year, they produced the greatest moment in LCS history. Doublelift has seemingly banished his demons, proving not only that his 2015 win with CLG wasn't a fluke, but that he can be a leader, beating the bad teammate allegations by elevating talented rookie support Biofrost to championship level in just one split. Haunter was able to deal with top die impact, while Svenskeren continued to make every other jungler in North America look silly. And as always, the team has Bjergsen, Mr. TSM himself, holding down the mid lane. Not only did this team have 5 super talented players who were all coming off the best split of their careers to that point, but they were also an extremely coordinated team, playing quick, confident, and aggressive League of Legends. I can't overstate this, but believe me when I say the hype for this team was very, very real. Not only did it seem like they had the talent to compete with the best teams in the world, but their attitude and playstyle made them seem like a genuine threat. The speed and strength with which they won games was starting to attract genuine worldwide attention.
Now here's where TSM landed on every surviving power ranking I could find from Worlds 2016. Polygon had them at 6th, ESPN, Emily Rand, and the Score Esports all had them at 4th, InVen put them 3rd, and Kelsey Moser put them all the way up in 2nd. Once again, this is not revisionist history or TSM fans flooding a Reddit poll somewhere. Real experts were giving them an outside shot of winning the whole thing. It seemed impossible that the hype for TSM could grow even more, but then, one day, mysterious videos started popping up on YouTube.
And it helps playing the comp because...
Listen, your job as top catch is to practice making plays. Okay. Much as possible, like ult on cooldown onto mid or side lane or something.
The final 3 games of a scrim set between TSM and SKT had leaked and were posted to Reddit. Now unfortunately, games 4 and 5 have since been deleted, so while I can't show you the footage anymore, I can tell you that they were both fairly decisive TSM wins. Here it was, proof positive that TSM could contend with the best teams in the world, at least in scrims. Plus, unlike the other games, not only does Game 6 remain on YouTube, but it was uploaded with comms, giving us deep insights into TSM's decision-making process.
Wait, you've never compared dick sizes with your best buds? Like, it's practically normal.
Guys, we're stripping SKT right now, by the way.
Now the first step to any deep Worlds run is getting out of groups, and to do that, it's often advantageous to find yourself in a group that's not all that hard to get out of. While the World Championship wasn't quite as flooded with good teams back then as it is today, the fact of the matter is that even as a 1 seed from NA back in 2016, there are plenty of Pool 2 and even Pool 3 teams that could pose a real threat. It's all a roll of the dice, albeit a slightly loaded pair of dice as the pool system forbids 2 teams from the same region in the same group. At best, you could find yourself in a dream scenario like TSM, AHQ, G2, or H2K and INTZ, where they pretty much be guaranteed a top 2 spot barring complete implosion. And the absolute worst case scenario would be something like TSM, SKT, RNG, and Splice. So how does the draw go for TSM?
Happy to be drawn into. Finally in Group D, we have North.
RNG, Samsung, and Splice.
Samsung Galaxy. I think that's like the second hardest. The only way our group could have been harder if he had SKT.
That would be good.
That could have been that could have happened.
Wow, we're so lucky we didn't get SKT in that group, Arth.
Yeah, we only got the second hardest group.
TSM find themselves shoulder to shoulder with perennial Worlds contenders Uzi and RNG from the LPL, Gauntlet winners Samsung Galaxy from the LCK, and Europe's third seed Splice. While the Europeans should be relatively easygoing, the other two teams are going to be incredibly difficult to take down no matter how confident the NA champs may be. While everyone knows not to doubt Uzi, Samsung Galaxy are real contenders too and are not to be underestimated. Like Parth said, this is pretty much the second hardest group they could have drawn, and yet despite this, most experts and analysts still pick them to make it out of this group. And with groups held in San Francisco, the origin of Bay Life, this might as well be a home game for TSM as the fans roar their name.
And representing the North American LCS, TSM!
So here you go, TSM. If you really are a top 4 team at this tournament, like everyone's been saying, get out there and prove it. After years of talking non-stop about how their sights are set on international success, it finally seems like those aspirations might solidify. You've got 6 games. It's time to put up or shut up.
Generally draws a lot of jungle attention in the LPL, as now Mata goes for a roam.
Oh, that's a flash pulverized. Svenskeren in trouble. Remember, there's no flash. First blood picked up. Svenskeren may want to change that.
Collapsed on.
Sonic Wave, ward hop. The Sonic Wave connects. Svenskeren follows him over the wall, but MLXG's running at a mile a minute. He's got the close down. Flash forward, Sonic Wave. Dragon's Rage. Svenskeren gets the kill. Up in the top lane, Luca's now going to be in trouble. The recipient of another dive. No flash available for Sven, but a good stun from the Slicing Maelstrom. This should be a relatively easy kill, unless MLXG can get involved. Looking at the minimap, Xiaohu's coming up from the jungle, and Sven's in trouble. Onslaught of Shadows available. MLXG jumps out, but Sven gets away.
This is a really strange game from RNG that I've seen.
Svenskeren has found Xiaohu delivers the shockwave. That was exceptional.
Speaking of which, there's the teleport from Looper.
Oh, this is scary. TSM is slightly split. Hornster's not going to join yet. Mata gets a double knockup, and Doublelift is down. Biofrost sends out the tidal wave. It does nothing. Hornster's looking for Uzi. Svenskeren's going to find him. That's a 2-for-1 so far, but it will not matter.
Svenskeren?
Again, looking for it on the hunt. Good
Oh my goodness.
3-man knockup. TSM are getting destroyed. They've already lost 2. Bjergsen and Svenskeren trying to run for their lives. The shockwave's already used. Hornster goes golden, but he's going to get taken down. Knocked out goes golden. Will get shut down by RNG. MLXG's not done. Mata finds Doublelift, and Uzi gets the triple kill.
Uzi is huge. 7 kills. They're going for the game.
They are indeed. The Nexus turret is the focus. MLXG's got a GA. Not even going to need it. Nexus turret number 2. RNG take down TSM. RNG destroy the hometown heroes and are victorious against Team Solo Mid.
TSM does not win their first game, but it's not all bad news. Svenskeren and Hanser were great in the early game, and TSM were in the driver's seat as late as 20 minutes in. Even though they threw it, it was still a respectable performance, and hey, there's no shame getting sent to the Shadow Realm by one of the greatest supports of all time dropping a nuke. This match will forever be remembered as the Mata Alistar game, and TSM just happened to be in his way. Fortunately for TSM, that was just the first game of the group stage. There was still plenty of time to learn from it. Unfortunately for TSM, they're about to head into the most dangerous game of the entire group stage versus Samsung Galaxy. Instead of getting a warm-up game versus Splice to get into the swing of things, TSM plays the other 2 contenders back-to-back. Dropping one of these games is fine, but falling into an 0-2 hole makes for a much tougher climb out in week 2. But we didn't have to worry about it, because TSM did this.
Good push really hard on top because he knew he was alone. And now Ambition, instead of going for the dive, he's actually going for Svenskeren right here. Svenskeren jukes out because he knew he was close. Really good read.
Still taking damage, but he's actually going to come back in. Cube's under the turret, but he's actually just out of range on Sven.
The minions
Might even look back in for him. Minions doing damage. Coming first. Svenskeren can he do it again? Right to the Q. One up over. They've got Cube. First blood. TSM stuns him over the wall. Ambition repels down to his death. Onto with the second kill.
But because he's getting pushed in, he really likes a higher spell damage Q.
All in. Ulti does go in for a crowd. Dead. Bjergsen with a perfect calculation. Really nice solo kill from Bjergsen. This is going exactly to plan for TSM.
They just have so much pressure in the lanes. Hunter, looking to be fast himself.
Looking for the stun, does get the first one. Bjergsen chains it in. Cube now going to be the target. He's overheated and Bjergsen grabs another. Svenskaren's entering another lane and it's Crown now. Oh, good stuff for Bjergsen. Flash kick. Ulti all in and Sven gets the next one. Crown just can't move off this at all. In fact, they're going to go for a dive. Ambition forced to repel out of the way, but they might still go for a good pull from Wraith. Might be enough to defend, and Double is firing shots into the enemy team. Wraith takes a lot of damage of Bjergsen. All-in's onto Ruler and chunks him down to flash forward. Really wants to kill and he does get it. Hornza came down as well. TSM all-inning for the bottom turret. Not done actually. Bjergsen gonna juke out the ulti as Crown barely shorts the chain of corruption, but I don't quite know how they get out of this one. Let's find out. Crown gonna get knocked up here. Sven kicks him into Bifrost. Hornza's here as well and he flushes the wall, but Doublelift swoops in to clean him up as Hornza gets credit.
Like, are these guys playing with like 6th sense, but they're starting Baron right now.
Here's the panic from Samsung. Cube. Crown actually eats the damage. Proto belts on his face and dies now flushes towards Cube for the stun. The zone use is good, but I don't think it's gonna save him, and Hornza grabs the double. Again, so far ahead, but the game isn't over. Samsung Galaxy certainly doing something right. His ambition maybe caught, repels out of the way, goes back down to Svenskeren, gets kicked back in, stun up for the concussive blows, and Bjergsen blows him up before the Brawl come out, and now Hornza's going into the back line. Wraith getting tied up in the front, forced to flash out. Cube practically dead as TSM surge forward for a couple kills.
Very impressive against a team that by some critics was actually lauded to be first place in this group. Top 2, there are people that think that RNG and Samsung will make it out and TSM won't.
Ooh, Carr's actually maybe catching on the bio, but TSM a little too far ahead. Tower's already broken. Sven trying to kick one in, but Bjergsen just blows up Ruler. Gonna get kicked back in. His ambition as Sven dives in onto him, and that's just carnage in the Samsung Galaxy Nexus phase. There's up, boys. Well, it's maybe about time, but the Nexus Tower's gonna start to get broken. Cube barely any health to play with. His ambition getting dove on as well. TSM gonna complete the ace here. His ambition goes down to Hornza. A double kill for the Canada, seal the deal, and TSM gonna win their first game at Worlds. As up, like I said, TSM should be very proud. Excellent controlled display against a Samsung team that, of course, picked up a victory yesterday. And this is the TSM that people were talking about in scrimmage.
This game was 2016 TSM at their absolute best and firing on all cylinders. TSM's topside once again goes off early, and Svenskaren's Liss was so filthy that he would never get to play it again at this Worlds. It was banned against him in every single game going forward. Bjergsen styles on Crown, landing stun after stun, while Doublelift and Biofrost get the job done in teamfights. The team looks just as invincible as they did domestically, fighting their way out of seemingly impossible corners. It was quick, clean, and aggressive. 18-1, nearly a 20k gold lead, pure domination from start to finish, and to this day, one of the greatest group stage games ever played by a North American team.
Great game. We didn't get shit on.
Now, Julian, you casted this game. What do you remember the most about it?
To be honest, I don't remember anything. I've cast so many TSM games in my lifetime that, especially at Worlds, mostly tiebreakers that didn't go well, that I think I don't remember because it's happened more than once. So I'm gonna have to go back and watch this game, I think.
I just called this in the script right before this part of the video. I said, this is the most important group stage game that NA has ever played. You, the foremost expert, you casted every big TSM moment in 2016. I was cutting together the montage for the last video, and I asked you a simple question, hey, what do you remember about it? You're like, oh, nothing stands out about it.
Is that the Haunted Gnaw game? This was it. This was the blueprint. Proof that TSM can take down the very best teams in the world. The RNG game was just a warm-up. North America has finally arrived at the World Championship. They've done the hard part already. Now all they need to do is take down Splice, and they'll be in a great position to advance. And while things are certainly messy due to one of their shot callers sounding like this.
My voice is really bad. Like really bad. So just our vision controller on Baron, I think. Dennis doesn't go super decent, so someone else should.
On the bright side, they've now shown us that not only can they keep it close and even destroy some of the best teams in the world, but they also possess the resilience to fight back from a major deficit even when they're far from 100%.
We fucking suck! Holy shit.
So with week 1 in the books, let's take a look at how things stand in Group D. The group of death is nowhere close to being solved, with TSM, Samsung and RNG all tied at 2-1, each beating one opponent while losing to the other. Meanwhile, Splyce had come out completely flat and found themselves down for the count at 0-3. While TSM are definitely feeling good about a solid start, they're painfully aware that by the end of next week, one of these 3 teams is going to be on the outside looking in. Unlike the first week, where teams get about a day to prep for their next match, in 2016 the second half of the round robin will be played out in what is effectively an all-day battle royale, with each team playing all 3 of their remaining games in just a single day, sometimes back-to-back until only 2 teams are left standing. Unfortunately, this part of the tournament has been a struggle for NA lately. After a decent start in week 1 of the 2015 World Championship, the NA teams combined to go an absolutely rancid 0-10 in week 2 of the group stage. And 2 days prior, over in Group A, CLG had blown a similar 2-1 start and missed out on quarters after losing to a wildcard team. TSM cannot let this happen again. The good news is TSM are in control of their own destiny. Coming into week 2, TSM are playing the very first game of the day. And who do they find themselves up against first? The same team they already deleted in week 1, Samsung.
The path forward is simple. Assuming TSM beat Splyce, and spoiler alert, they do, a 2-0 versus Samsung doesn't 100% lock them into the knockout stage, but it does get them pretty damn close and guarantees them at least a tiebreaker. If Samsung then goes on to beat RNG, TSM wouldn't just be through to the quarterfinals, they would lock first place in the group. As draft begins, Samsung makes one thing very clear. This will not be a repeat of their last game. In week 1, Samsung gave TSM everything they wanted and picked 3 losing lanes. This time, they start off by banning Sven's Lee Sin and Bjergsen's Syndra, forcing TSM into a different look. They also first picked Jin, forcing Doublelift, who has played only Jin so far at Worlds, onto something different. The TSM bot lane had a bit of a rough week 1, doing alright versus Samsung and Splyce, but getting pretty outclassed by RNG. Doublelift waved off the criticism at the time, saying in interviews that NA bot lanes just didn't push them as hard as Mata and Uzi, and while that's definitely true, he and Biofrost also definitely looked a bit off in their other games as well. Fortunately, they did their jobs and the rest of the team was able to pick up the slack, but with Jin off the table, Svenskeren and Bjergsen targeted in draft, and having to face a much better support in Dignitas legend Core JJ this time around, Doublelift will need to step up. So for the first time at Worlds, he locks in his signature Lucian, with Bjergsen locking in his more supportive but always exciting pocket pick Zillion. This is the culmination of North America's big shot.
It's
still going to be dangerous.
Okay, dodges the first praising, but now getting slowed down by Kuba. Flash knockup! That's not enough life for Svenskeren. First blood comes through for Ambition. Nicely played stop with the counter jump.
As the game starts, it's clear that Samsung have learned from their mistakes, winning the top lane 2v2 this time around and coming back for seconds. While Zillion is one of Bjergsen's most memorable picks, this game was one to forget, with the mid laner dropping a bit of a stinker and getting solo killed twice by Crown. However, TSM recovered nicely off the back of a bot lane 2v2 kill from Doublelift, followed by a freebie from Ruler over Stang.
Walking into range, and he knows the flash, the chop comes in, and a nice flash to get out of range. Core JJ overextended! What an outplay by TSM!
Core JJ sadly overextended a little bit, and it leaves Ruler alive.
Why is Ruler staying under the turret? That's going to be a free kill picked up, perfectly executed by TSM.
Then TSM rotate top lane and catch Samsung off guard, winning the skirmish and coming away with a 2k gold lead at 15 minutes. Not as dominant as their first game, but Doublelift is 4-0 and TSM once again find themselves in a position to take over the game. Then, at 22 minutes, things get weird.
Fight the mid lane with 2 solo laners from TSM gone.
Svenskeren quite low, pops the ulti late, he's running out of health, the chase down, and a nice shot from Ruler. Now into Biofrost, one more shot will kill him! And Doublelift does not even block the shot, died to Crown anyway. Control of the mid lane, a 2-0 to Samsung, and that's going to be a very low, almost dead turret.
But it shows you the value of that 2 items back on Victor. Nobody can get out of that Chaos Storm because it applies continuous slope from the Rallis Crystal Scepter, and now Bjergsen way too far forward.
Overstepping, chased down by Ruler.
Every League player has seen this happen a million times in solo queue. Someone on the team gets a little too confident and gets caught out, the support tries to save them and dies too, then the rest of the team tries to salvage the situation by forcing a bad fight 2v4, and suddenly the enemy team takes Baron, and now that one small misstep has snowballed into a major throw. See, the pros are just like us after all. Despite a 3.5k Baron power play by Samsung, the game is still within reach as TSM are able to stop the push well short of their base. Another pick on Svenskeren and Biofrost a few minutes later makes things scary, but this time the other members of TSM are in a position to fight back and are able to stop Samsung from collecting another free Baron.
Biofrost the first casualty of it, but nowhere for Sven to go. That's Super Zero re-engage for Hanser. Damage on the crown. Can't quite get the damage. He's gonna survive it. And even Kuve's gonna live. Well played by Core JJ. No kills.
Then, at 37 minutes, Samsung make their move. Ambition hits a flash 2-man knockup onto the carries, and TSM are forced to kite back. With everything on the line, they once again find themselves caught out with low health bars in the mid lane. Every fan in the building, no, the entire region holds their breath and collectively thinks one thing. He's gonna do it again. We've seen this before. Doublelift has made miracles happen many times throughout his career in moments just like this. Once again, he's on his signature Lucian, the champion he used to craft so many of these moments. Who's to say that he can't do it one more time? Every once in a while in League of Legends, we see a transcendent play that echoes through history and stays with us long after it happens. There's no set criteria, you just know one when you see it. And the thing about these truly special plays is that they have a tendency to rhyme. It may be weeks, months, or even years later, but they always have a way of coming back. And this is one of those moments, almost perfectly mirroring his play against C9. They're not the same, but they rhyme. And on October 6, 2016, we can all see what's happening. This is Doublelift's moment. It's time to make history.
And if they play it right, they can make this happen now. Bjergsen is the one attack, getting away from the equalizer. The chase on a Biofrost is Kuve. That's the flash forced out. Now here's the teleport to join in Hanser in the back line, but gets exhausted. How much is the follow-up damage? Perfect shield from Core JJ. That's gonna be Kuve burning down. The chase in and Doublelift gets one. He gets two. He's looking for three and Crown will keep his kingdom for now, but TSM with the 3 for 0.
Doublelift.
Oh, and he gets deleted. Oh, and he gets deleted. Baron steal attempt. Sven gonna get knocked around. 2,000 health left on Baron. They can finish during the Guardian Angel. Doublelift runs in. Gets revived, but the health bars are so low. Sven, what's he gonna choose? Is it Baron or is it the fight? Doublelift gets the trade kill on a crowd. The Baron steal. No, it's gonna go to Samsung Galaxy, and they've got complete control. That's a dead Biofrost. The shutdown. Super Galaxy Kuve looking for this one, knocking down the first of the turrets, but no, Hanser gonna trade the kill on that one. 5v4, and ooh, that's Guardian Angel down for Core JJ, but the turrets are dead. The inhibitors as well. Doublelift gonna lose his life with impeccably bad timing as the chrono shift wore off, and it's now gonna be the Nexus. It's gonna be the game, and Samsung Galaxy gets revenge on TSM and holds on to first place for now.
In the immediate aftermath, most fans on Reddit blame Hanser, but history has a different view. Eventually, everyone was forced to admit it. If Doublelift had simply turned and hit Baron, TSM would have won this game. This is the worst moment in the history of North American League of Legends. But we can't get into that yet. There are still games left to play. While they're sure to beat a Splice team looking destined for 0-6, so are RNG. There's now an uncertainty to this group that could have easily been avoided. If RNG are able to show up this week, it's going to be extremely tough for TSM to make it out, and that journey will almost certainly involve tiebreakers, a situation NA has proven to be astoundingly bad at over the years, but that's a story for another time. Now, RNG and Samsung face off in a game that could very well decide TSM's...
Wait, Manny, hang on a second. There's something missing from this chart. You can't just take these games for granted. Mr. Editor, can we please get the RNG Splice game on screen so we can get the important one?
Oh, well, that changes things. Remarkably, at NA's lowest point, EU of all places delivers TSM a second chance, making this the first and only time that Uzi would ever be upset by a European team at Worlds. Just when everyone thought they'd go 0-6, Splice tripped up the LPL second seed in a game that didn't matter to them at all. But this game does matter to North America. It matters a ton, because this result, combined with RNG falling to 0-2 versus Samsung, puts TSM back in the same situation they were effectively in at the start of the day. Win and get in. Win and avoid the world's ridicule. Win and prove that your destiny is more than just fiction, that you're actually the world-class team we're so desperate to believe that you are. So TSM play their final game of the group stage with their fate surprisingly in their own hands once more, and what results is a protracted, agonizing defeat.
While the game starts bad and only gets worse, thanks to the heroics of Bjergsen's rise and just being a genuinely good team, TSM are able to hold the game close most of the way. They wipe RNG in a base defense to save their inhibs and keep things kinda close, but eventually the dam breaks and RNG dash the game as all the hopes and dreams of NA against the rocks of the San Francisco Bay.
And Team Solo Mid, their hopes, their dreams, they're done! Royal advance to Chicago!
Once again, TSM's attempt at heroics falls short because one of their stars wasn't a factor, with Doublelift dealing just 12k damage compared to Uzi's 43k despite getting the R5 counter pick. Even after everything that's happened today, he just can't say no to his Lucian. But that doesn't matter now. There are no more games left to play. Both teams finished the group stage with an ultra mid 3-3 record, but RNG's 2-0 head-to-head against TSM means they are the team that qualifies through, as North America is left wanting once again. No tiebreakers, no second chances, no more games left to play. With a whimper, TSM's campaign at Worlds 2016 comes to an end on home soil, sending shockwaves through the community that reverberate to this day.
Now, you might be thinking, well, yeah, this place sucked, but did it really break NA? We've been knocked out in groups loads of times.
Well, the butterfly effect is the idea that small, seemingly trivial events may ultimately result in something with much larger consequences. It might sound crazy, but this one moment feels like it altered the course of an entire region, starting with TSM. As the one responsible for the throw, Doublelift takes the majority of the heat. Just a few months after seemingly banishing his early career demons for good, the haters were back in full force, and he once again finds himself a pariah. His Lucian, just a few months prior seen as elite, was now a punchline. All because he stepped forward just a bit too far. Doublelift struggles not only with harassment, but with the painful knowledge that on some level, they're right. He let his teammates down. The whole experience was so traumatic, he just needed to get away, announcing at the beginning of November that he'd be taking a break from competitive play.
Dude, I remember, when I told you, I was like, dude, I don't think I can live with myself because I threw that game against Samsung, so I think I just need to take a break, and then, like, you were really upset. I remember exactly what you said, but that's depressing.
That is depressing.
Yeah. Because I was like, dude, I don't think I can, like, face my teammates anymore. I'm like, I feel so guilty that I threw that game, and, like, it was, like, completely on me to carry. Like, if I just played better, we would have 100% won against Samsung, and I was like, oh my god. The guilt is just overwhelming. Like, I cannot play next split.
TSM still wins both splits in 2017, and Doublelift does return to the team in summer, but the damage was already done. They're still a great team, but they lack the same aura they had a year prior. At Worlds 2017, despite a much easier group, they once again blow a 2-1 start, finishing 3-3 and fail to make it out of groups, this time losing a tiebreaker with Misfits for extra flair. The roster clearly had the ability, but under the bright lights, they just couldn't get the monkey off their backs.
Remember, TSM are above all a team that wins. They're going to win Worlds someday, so Reginald, dissatisfied with this roster's inability to make it out of groups, decides to blow the team up in the offseason while disrespecting the players on the way out. TSM, seemingly drunk on venture capital funds, would continue to spend more and more money on more and more big-name imports, each with a shorter leash than the last, to no avail. In the end, despite burning literally tens of millions of dollars in blind pursuit of making it out of groups, this win against Misfits on October 13th, 2017, with this very roster, would be the very last game that TSM would ever win at Worlds. At the end of 2023, TSM would shut down their LCS team. In classic TSM fashion, they just had to frame it as winning, insisting that they would buy a spot in the LEC, the LPL, or some better league more worthy of TSM, failing to realize that they had long since imploded their brand value and alienated all but a few diehard fans while maintaining, even to the bitter end, a condescending air of superiority. Their YouTube channel, once raking in more views per video than Cadril does today, sits basically dead. A graveyard providing an irrefutable record of TSM's prolonged self-immolation. And the messed up thing? It didn't have to be this way. It could have been so different had that one game against Samsung gone just a little bit differently. Had Doublelift not face-checked into Crown's victor, had fate intervened, everything might have changed. Imagine for a moment that TSM keep their mental in check, that Doublelift's overzealous reach in the mid lane doesn't result in a moment now burned in our collective brains. Imagine that they win the rematch against Samsung instead, which, considering that they had just won a team fight, nearly equalized the gold, and were on the doorstep of a free Baron before the incident, doesn't seem like that much of a stretch. And I do mean a free Baron. Right as Doublelift dies, we can see a flashless, chunked out Ambition who doesn't see any way in hell they could possibly contest this thing, smite the Wolves. We are not erasing a full-on game result or their match versus RNG, just this one play. Doublelift steps back and walks to Baron instead of trying to 1v1 Crown. That's it. If everything else plays out the same, if Splyce upset RNG and Samsung win out otherwise, well, RNG and Splyce would basically nuke each other out of the tournament, leaving TSM and Samsung tied for first in the group at 4-2. But TSM's 2-0 head-to-head record would mean that they would actually finish the group in first instead of second. No tiebreakers needed. The same rule that eliminated them despite tying RNG at the end of the group stage in our timeline. If that happens, well, it'd be TSM instead of Samsung up against Cloud9, a rematch of the most recent LCS finals. I say this as a guy who was a massive C9 fan back in 2016 and a card-carrying TSM hater. TSM would have smoked them. Not only did they have an 11-4 record against C9 that year, but if you watched LCS around that time, you'll know that TSM just kind of owned C9 in big moments in that 2016-2017 era.
In either case, a North American team, probably TSM, then faces off against H2K, who also had a free ticket to semifinals after dispatching the upstart Albus Nox Luna. Now, it would definitely be closer than the 3-0 thrashing Samsung gave the EU 2 seed in our timeline, but I think it's fair to say that TSM would be likely to win. And if that happens, well then it's North America finding themselves in their first World Finals ever, years ahead of Fnatic's incredible run in 2018 against IG. It's Bjergsen versus Faker, for fuck's sake, for all the marbles. And sure, Faker almost certainly triumphs, this is the peak of the SKT dynasty we're talking about after all, but this finals wasn't free. In fact, it was the first 5-game finals in World's history. And the team to push SKT to Silver Scrapes was of course none other than Samsung Galaxy, a team TSM had proven they could beat and should have eliminated. It seems as though the league gods were testing TSM, saying if you can make it through this gauntlet of a group, this is what you could be. We'll give you an easy path to the top, especially compared to SKT, who had to go through both RNG and the Rocks Tigers to get here. These two teams were definitely not equal, but a World Finals with the most popular North American team against the greatest League of Legends team of all time, played at home in North America, even ending in a 3-0 sweep. That's the kind of achievement that would cash in on years of trying to break through the ceiling against the best teams in the world. Combined with CLG doing the same thing at MSI a few months prior, NA would have a legitimate, I'll bet pretty fraudulent claim to the title of second best region in the world. While we look back at this TSM roster as an international failure today, it's crazy to think about just how different things could have been if you cosmically flip a few winnable games from red to green and make Doublelift go hit Baron against Samsung. It really was the thinnest of margins. While we're under no illusions that in an alternate timeline North America would already be world champions, we believe that the state of NA League of Legends would be undeniably different.
So how did this play break NA? It's because after this moment, we lost our ability to hope. It traumatized us, dealing psychic damage on a massive scale. Have you ever noticed how every year, like clockwork, after the last NA team is eliminated from Worlds, dozens of tweets, Reddit threads, and YouTube videos pop up talking about how to fix NA? But what's the actual thing about NA that we're all so focused on trying to fix? What's the root problem? Well, we would contend that the underlying cause is the difference between expectations and reality. Like I said in part 1, Americans love to believe that we're the best in the world at what we do, even and especially when that isn't true. We need to believe that we're at least contending for a world title, and if we can't, we're not going to stay interested for too long. While 2015 was a disaster, that could be written off as a one-time thing, but TSM's failure to make it out of groups at 2016 was the beginning of NA fans reckoning with the fact that our teams probably can't win Worlds. Just 2 weeks after TSM were eliminated, a thread hit the front page of the subreddit. After watching SKT vs Rocks, I realized that NA as a region stands no chance at winning Worlds anytime soon. I think this play is the genesis of that feeling of hopelessness. It made us feel like, well, if this team, the best one we've ever sent, can't make it in the ideal situation with the clearest possible route to a World Final that NA ever had, or given the sheer volume of LPL and LCK teams at Worlds nowadays, we'll ever see again, who can? And since 2016, with a few exceptions, this has largely been the theme for NA. With each new disappointment, it gets harder and harder to sustain the illusion that an NA team has a real shot at a Summoner's Cup. The slow, painful downfall of TSM, NA's most popular organization, and the team built entirely on that illusion, only accelerated this process and has given fans an excuse to tune out. If things had gone the other way and TSM had made a run even to the semis, showing that we could contend with the best in the world, that it was at least possible to believe in a deep North American run at an international event, having our flagship team live up to the hype might have been enough momentum to lift the region. League of Legends exploded in North America in 2013, and LoL Esports was at its peak popularity here in 2015 and 2016 before fans slowly started to trickle out. If our Cope Dimension scenario had come to pass, fan interest certainly would have been higher for longer.
While future NA teams would make deep pushes at international events and have even looked great as recently as last year's Worlds, the belief is different. It feels like it's something that's earned by teams once they prove they're not going to embarrass us, rather than given unconditionally. TSM in 2016 represents a time when the fans got excited about our chances, where we could be purely optimistic instead of cautiously so. Instead, the butterfly fails to flap its wings, and what's done is done.
Almost a decade later in 2025, Doublelift unretired for a third time and led a team of TF Blade, Speaker, Pobelter, and Biofrost through the NACL in a short-lived attempt to make it back to the LTA North. The team's name? Near Airport. It still haunts him.
Failing to topple Samsung for the second time, failing to best RNG in either game despite having chances in both, leaves TSM with an early exit to the airport, which is mercifully at least close to home. From then on, expectations were tempered going into big events. Jokes were expected, deflected, and absorbed as part of the larger ecosystem and just became something we got good at living with. And make no mistake, there has always been so much worth celebrating about our region and our league, and it's a shame that the hangover of this moment lasted so long that it felt as though the excitement was always muted, filtered through a sound dampener because of what we've been through before. Making Worlds Finals will always feel like a fairy tale. It just would have been nice if it happened way back when. And looking back at Worlds 2016, there's a very real chance it could have. Would it have actually changed anything? Who knows? If only the greatest North American player of all time, known for looking for the sharpest angles of play, a career trait that has seen him win countless titles domestically. If only for one play, we could rewind and he made a different decision. Instead, what we have is this, a moment forever burned into our collective memory. It didn't have to change everything, but it did.
But what do you think? Let us know in the comments if face-checking Crown's victor was truly the downfall of reality as we know it, or if it's just a mistake that sticks out and makes for a cool story. If you want to support us directly, check out our Patreon at the link in the description below.
Well, that didn't work at all.